Ron Newman, a championship's brewing. Sweet 16. The San Diego Sockers are back-to-back MASL Ron Newman Cup champions.
You think I'm jumping out the window?
Tavoy Morgan says, I ain't done. He's got his 5th goal of the game in the 3rd quarter.
For Childs, his header, goal!
Childs bends to the far post,
goal! It's Williams back to Pereira's, his shot, saved by Pardo, the save of the year! And he's got Gutierrez, and Christian Gutierrez will shoot and score! Jordas with a step to the middle, to the left foot, still open, shoots, he scores! Charlie fakes around a man, shoots, he scores! Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League, streaming to you live on Twitch. Craig Elston, Jerry Jimenez back here with you. The Sockers get it done again, and we are back live Tuesday at 5 on Twitch channel San Diego Sockers with episode 13, season 5 of Soccer's Overtime. We are taking our act on the road. After some big home wins, it's time for the road trip of death to begin. Mr. Jerry Jimenez, how are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm very good. I'm happy to be back here on this lovely Tuesday afternoon with everybody. Yeah, it's good to be back and looking forward to a couple of really exciting games as well.
Yeah, it's a very busy week, including MASL action tonight that we're going to be keeping a close eye on, and of course, Sockers action Wednesday night. On this evening's show, the Sockers run their win streak to 30 in the regular season. Now comes the hard part, 6 straight away from Pechanga Arena. Special guest Charlie Gonzalez will join us. He'll talk about his second season in San Diego and getting ready for another SoCal showdown Wednesday at Toyota Arena against the Empire Strikers. The Harrisburg-Florida trade finally happens. Both Mexican clubs change head coaches in the same week. And could one be going to the other? We've got a spicy edition of MASL news for you tonight, and we'll get ready for another watch party at the Dana this weekend in our Soccer's news segment. Want to say very special hello to everybody who's joining us, all our early adopters jumping in right from minute 1 here live on our Twitch broadcast. Great to see you in the chat. Great to see everybody jumping in and starting to collaborate with us on the show, contribute. Joe Hutt asking, whose jersey did I win?
Oh.
My jersey, baby. My jersey. Can I put that?
Oh, wow. Look, hold on. Let's go ahead and put that big screen. Do that one more time. Yeah. That says 619 Sports on the back with the 619. I love it.
Yeah, nice. Baby. How about it, huh? My jersey. You didn't bid on my jersey.
No.
Joe Hutt.
I don't think that was up for a bid.
No, you're right. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was bid directly into my hands, and I have it now on my body. So thanks to everyone here in the chat. But hey, everybody who's watching us on replay on YouTube, welcome to you as well. We absolutely appreciate your patronage, and everybody listening to the audio podcast. And I'd just like to say a special hello to Gabe Klum, who's probably, as I'm saying this, having already watched it live and watched the replay on YouTube, is now listening to the podcast. So hi for a third time, Gabe. Video, audio.
Wow. That was
Number
like
one
Inception
supporter
or something.
Of Soccer's Overtime. Yeah, he's like the EGOT of listeners. He's got one of every style. of listening or viewing ability. All right, we got a lot to get to. We got Charlie Gonzalez coming on tonight. Bobby Cressy's theme song, of course, is Beyond the South Bay off of his album Cali Native. Support him. Check out his album and purchase it. Available on iTunes. Let's roll, Bunny. We've got a lot to get to, and we've got a special guest as well. We also take questions out of the chat all the time, and I'll take one right off the top from, looks like Lisa in SD, saying, question, was the attendance announced last Friday correct? It seems like there were a lot more people there than the previous game. You know, I've mentioned it before in the show. It does definitely bear repeating. Every other team in our league, and every other league too, does tickets out. They announce the number of tickets that have been distributed, and we announce the exact number of people who walk through the turnstiles. So no one gives a more accurate count than us. However, we did have our season high for attendance on Friday. We had our season high for tickets out, for tickets in, and for revenue on Friday, and it's been going up each of the last 3 games. So more people are showing up, more people are there to be sure, and we're loving the direction the crowds are going. Now we've got a whole month to get groups ready and to get everybody ready for our March 4th return, and then for, 6 home games in 5 weeks. So a lot of home games coming up to end the season. We will see where the record goes. Also got a question about the Mesquite players. Man, that was a scary collision in the 4th quarter, Jerry.
Yeah, it was. And we got a picture. I'm not sure if I can pull it up. Maybe while we're talking about this game, I can pull up the picture really quick so that everybody can see it. I mean, the faces of our players in the bench say it all. It was a pretty bad collision. I am happy to report, from what I have heard, that they are okay. So they're going to be all right. But yeah, it was pretty bad. I did hear something about them having to actually go to the doctor immediately after to make sure that they were okay. But it sounds like they're fine, right, Greg? I think I'm.
No, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
And Brendan Lee, I know, had to have a pretty decent number of stitches to his forehead. And he did go to get those stitches at the hospital. He was, in fact, hanging out outside our locker room after the match, his head bandaged, waiting to get a ride from one of the doctors. So I know that happened because I saw him saying, "Hey, Doc, I'm ready to go." So that definitely occurred. Yeah, I heard 20 stitches as well. That's the number I heard too, but I didn't stop to watch them put it in. So that's hearsay. Nonetheless, they got stitched up. They're okay. I'm sure concussion protocol. Nonetheless, that was a scary headbanger.
Do you want to see the picture? Should I put the picture up?
Yeah, you got it? Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, and then look at our guys on the bench. It's crazy.
Let me see if I can do this really quick. Might be a little too big. Oh, yep. Let me make this smaller for everybody. Look at this magic.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Charlie, Escoto, and Farber, all with the same look. And then Phil's leaning in. Phil's into it.
Yeah.
Phil's leaning in all the way. He's ready to put a third head in that mess.
I mean, look at Pardo. Look at everybody's face. Charlie, you see Brandon in there. You see Brian. Everybody's looking at this going, "Oh no." So yeah, it was pretty bad. I'm so glad to hear that they're okay. Stitches, you're good. You're gonna be okay. But yeah, what a tough one it was.
No doubt. That happened in the 4th quarter. Let's see what happened in quarters 1 through 4 as we roll through our recap of Friday night's Star Wars night. You know, first thing I always got to say on these is a special thanks to all of our great cosplayers, to Shane Holly, who leads that group that comes out with us each and every year. We had over a dozen cosplayers out. I thought it was just an incredible night. Great job by DJ Mancat once again, getting all the sounds, all the different music, all the different sound effects as well, and to the Pechanga Arena crew for getting our video clips right. I thought overall it was just a really, really cool night. And I got to say, we have to do the light up lightsaber Bam Bam sticks again. That was just awesome. It
was so good. It was so awesome. And yeah, shout out to everybody that was involved in making the night extra special with all the Star Wars. I think it's always just a night that everybody looks forward to every single season. And this year was no different. I mean, it was so much fun. And you're right, man. Those Bam Bam sticks, the lightsaber Bam Bam sticks were so cool. It looked like it was just completely packed in there when the lights went down, and then the lights of the sticks actually went on. It was just really cool to see. And we have some cool pictures. Unfortunately, I didn't get any really good pictures of it, but I'm sure you guys saw it on our social media. Feel free, friendly reminder, on our Instagram, you can always go back and look at our stories. They're always archived there for you to go and check out. And in there, you'll be able to see it if you missed out on it. But we should do that again, man. We need to find another reason to do that because it looked just awesome. I loved it.
It was sick. And here we see the Sockers tying things up at the very end of the first quarter. It was the first quarter that went great for the Outlaws. Mesquite came in so shorthanded that essentially Tattoo knew what kind of match it was going to be. No Luis Morales, no Pablo da Silva, no George DeLeon. Really two, finishers and a creator out of the lineup. And yet, on that gift goal that maybe came off of a seam bad hop, it was 1-0 Mesquite. And then with just 15 seconds left, a defensive clearance sets up this top arc. And it's just classic Childs. 2 fakes, a dime, and a goal by Leo for 1-1.
Yeah. I mean, Mesquite, look, considering that they were down a couple of players, right? They had Pablo da Silva being one of the biggest ones that I know stood out. Luis Morales, George De Leon not there. I mean, they came out and, scored one on us. And I'm thinking, oh, my gosh. At that point, I didn't know, actually, these players were missing. I'm going to be completely honest. But as the game went on, I think that we started kind of seeing it a little bit more and more. But, I mean, for that first goal, Craig Childs doing Craig Childs things, and it lands on Leo. Leo buries it.
Right here, one of the prettier goals you'll see all year. Tic-tac goal. I always love tic-tac goal.
Such a good
3
goal.
players combining on 4 passes. Serta starting and finishing the run. Gutierrez and Gonzalez in between. Charlie with the most unselfish play out of the corner to spot Serta finishing his run and to feed him. And goals like this make teams better. Goals like this make the sport better. I know that sounds hyperbolic, but this is the type of beautiful stuff that you just love to see.
Yeah, I absolutely love this goal. It just goes to show that it was a team effort, and it goes to show just how united this team is. And man, I just have to bring this up because I think Charlie mentions it in our interview a little bit later. But the jerseys, when you bring a few of them together, those R2D2 jerseys really stick out. And it's so cool that it's our colors too. And so it just worked out great. But I mean, again, you mentioned it. Serta goes on to Charlie. It just, what a beautiful goal. And that is, I think, what I love so much about indoor. You don't see this super often, but if you're a Sockers fan, you see it a little bit more often than not. So these are the type of goals that make me so happy.
Sockers got a power play in the second quarter, take advantage to get that lead out to 3-1, and really good to see this power play starting to get it together, starting to figure things out. Now 9 for their last 13, Jerry, in terms of goals to chances. And that's brought the Sockers all the way up to second in the league. I believe it's second in the conference, fourth in the league in power play percentage. Of course, last year the team converted 60% of their power play chances. They're up to 44 now, but 44 and rising, and you really like to see that. I know we talked about that, I think, back in the Kansas City podcast, but if you can score 50% of your power plays, it basically takes physicality out of indoor, because if the other team tries to get physical, it gives you 2 goals.
Yeah, just like anything else, right? When you have a little bit of an advantage, you need to take advantage of it, and you have to make it count. And, we're getting better at it. I know that is something that we struggled with for a bit, and those numbers are sounding a lot better than they used to sound. So I'll take 9 out of you said 9 out of 13, 14?
Yeah, 9 out of the last 13.
13, yeah. So I mean,
and there it is, Tavoy's goal for 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that every day, and we just need to keep working at it. And I think we have a little bit of time. I think when it's going to really, really matter is when it comes down to the wire and going into the playoffs is when we really need to make sure we're on top of our game when it comes to those power plays.
One of the things that's an adjustment the Sockers have made in recent weeks that's so important, and you see it pay off actually on this scoring play, is moving Brandon Escoto back to the right side of the power play formation. That had been Felipe Gonzalez a couple of games ago, but you want that left-footed shooter on the right side of the power play formation. It just opens up all of these shooting opportunities for the left leg. And by contrast, the right-footed shooter is kind of more shooting into the goalie's angles. So I think that's made a big difference. And, of course, the way Tavoy Morgan is playing in the middle of that power play, laying the balls off, getting those quick turns off. He's great. Also great, Pollo Cortez. We just saw him do his Kung Fu Master ab save there. Pollo had some great saves. He keeps Mesquite in ball games for sure.
Yes, he does. And you know what? If it wasn't for him, I think this game would have it would have been a much, much longer night for Mesquite. He's such a great, great goalkeeper. And, going back to Tavoy, I love seeing Tavoy celebrate at home. So that was awesome. That celebration with Charlie was great. And then he went in on that dance. And we saw Easy winning. Shout out to Easy. I know that you're here in the chat. Saw him celebrating with that Jamaican flag in the stands. I'm so happy to see him, scoring goals at home and celebrating and dancing for us.
Charlie gets 4-1 on a play that we talked about with Jeff Hughes on the broadcast, the kind of play that for a defender has to give them nightmares, where he goes to try and clear the ball off of the goal wall, does not kick it hard enough, does not kick it low enough, and instead offers a balloon right into the middle that probably felt like it was coming down at a tenth of a mile an hour as he watched from the wall Charlie line up this absolute smash of a volley for 4-1. Shout out to Jeff Hughes. I thought he did a terrific job filling in for Nate Abarea on color commentary on Twitch, while Nate and Paul Doherty did a great job announcing the game on Sirius XM FC radio on Friday night.
Yeah, that's awesome, and kudos to them for filling in and making sure that happened. And yeah, it's always good to have, like I said it in the last podcast, it's always good to have all the exposure, all the different venues that we can bring you guys the game and give the options for people to check it out. It's always a great time, and you guys absolutely nailed it. How unfortunate it was, obviously, for Mesquite on that ball. It's one of those things that happens. It's the part of the indoor that I also really enjoy is just those off the walls, those Wallace Scora goals are so unique to this sport, and you just love to see them. And we got quite a few of them in the last couple of games, Craig. So we're starting to get in there. And that one was lucky, right? That one fell to Pollo, but he took advantage of it. So that's all that matters.
Absolutely. Well, for all the dominance the Sockers were showing, it was only 4-2 after that great Sebastian Mendez, back and forth play on the wall, faking out Pee-wee, turning Pee-wee and getting a great goal. We thought that Pollo had scored on Pollo, and yet this play went to video review and could not be overturned because they couldn't find anything definitively to show that the ball did not hit the top netting, which was the original ruling of Mark Kadlicek. So one of those things where I didn't feel like it hit the top netting in real time, but one of the players on the floor made that indication, and I think that was enough for me, that somebody saw it in real time and thought it was a thing. So nonetheless, a little bit of a nervous moment for a couple of minutes, and then the play that turns the game, Brian Farber getting a quick shift at forward because Christian Gutierrez had just had a 4-minute shift and had to come off the floor. Farber comes in, pressures Pollo, and then goes for another classic Brian Farber fearless header to put the Sockers up 5-2 and pretty much to put this game away.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to see Farber back at it. This is the kind of thing that Brian Farber is known for. He follows through. He continues through with the play. He doesn't just give up on that ball and, puts a head on it, gets it past Pollo Cortez. It's just one of those beautiful things that Brian Farber tends to do, whether it's a flying kick or headers like this, where you just continues to follow through with the play. And, gets that goal. I mean, what a great goal! And then he stands up at the goal and does this celebration too. Just such a powerful image too for him to just stand there. So it's awesome. It's so good to see him. And somebody brought it up, Craig, and I was wondering this too. Somebody brought it up in the chat. How does Pollo Cortez not overheat with that gator around his neck? Craziness.
Hey, that's how he's comfortable. He likes it. He's got that turtleneck look. That's his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either, man. I think he likes to be hot. Hot chicken. Pollo caliente, you know?
Oh, my God. Sure.
Here's the layoff to Pee Wee for 6-2 to Voy Morgan. Very, very unselfish. He had already scored. He could have scored there. He gives Pee Wee his first goal of the year. Some great fan interaction there.
Pee Wee's
with
Peeps?
Pee Wee's posse.
It says Pee Wee's Peeps.
Pee Wee's Peeps? Is that what it said?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's Pardo's Posse. It's Pardo's Posse and Pee Wee's Peeps.
Incredible stuff. I'm glad to have Pee Wee's Peeps around and to have them have something to cheer, because normally the thing you cheer for with Pee Wee Ortega is him taking like 2 or 3 absolutely crazy hard fouls during the course of the game and like drawing a blue card and being tough in the corners. That's usually what Pee Wee's contributing. I love to see him get on the board with a nice goal. There you see the collision.
Yeah, ouch.
Ugh. Nasty.
That was rough.
Unfortunate. Completely accidental. Completely unfortunate. You know, red on red violence there. And, hey, it is what it is. Luckily, both those guys okay. Both those guys will be able to come back to play soon. Sockers with a late power play. Craig Giles, boom, goal. No problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you give him the ball in that area right there, you know what he's going to do.
Absolutely. 600. Let me see. I got to go double check the notes I wrote today. Pardon me, not read. I mean, I read them after I wrote them. It's called double checking. 645 career points now, I believe, for Captain Fantastic.
Wow.
The one and only Craig Giles. 645 career points, 366 in the MASL, 242 MASL goals, 445 career.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Not too bad.
And Sockers win it, 7-2. Yeah. Solid win, solid all-around victory. Pardo 8 out of 10 on the saves. Sockers badly outshot Mesquite once again. I believe it was 28-16 was the final shots on goal. Sockers have had 61% of the total shots in their matches this season. It's just been a real clinic in dominant defense. And the funny thing is, and we talk about it all the time on this show, right, Jerry, because somebody has to talk about this. They don't talk about it on any other show in the MASL. That's why we're the show of record in the Major Arena Soccer League.
That's right.
This team is allowing now 3.1 goals per match. 31 goals in 10 matches. The Sockers have outshot their opponents 292 to 185. Over 100 more shots than their opponents. 107 more shots than their opponent. They have allowed fewer than 20 shots in a match in 7 of their 10 matches this season. And just for comparison, last year, the Sockers averaged allowing 4.08 goals per match, which was best in the league by far. And when you took out Chihuahua and Baltimore road games, the Sockers allowed 3.55 goals per match. So, look, we're only a little less than halfway through. After Saturday, we'll be halfway through. But the Sockers are allowing goals at the lowest pace they ever have in modern franchise history. They're doing it even better than they did last season. And it's what makes this team so dominant, despite you opening up the MASL leaderboard stats. And other than Boris Pardo, you can barely even find a San Diego Soccer anywhere. But what this team does, I mean, you don't find the Sockers defenders in the blocked shot statistics. You just don't find them. But the difference is the Sockers don't allow the shots that other teams are allowing, that either their keeper is saving or their defenders are sometimes blocking. We're just shutting down teams. We're throttling teams in a way nobody else is in the league.
That's one of the things that I was thinking about, Craig, the other day. I was actually thinking and reminiscing a little bit, right, about that COVID season that everybody thought, well, the Sockers got lucky. They just peaked at the right moment. And sure, we did. But then we followed it up with another championship. And this season, again, with the stats so far, we're far from the three-peat, of course, but I have to bring that up because if you were questioning or wondering, was that whole season just, what was that? And are the Sockers for real? I think at this point, it's very clear that we are for real. And I would be remiss if I didn't remind you, by the way, Craig, that
We're going streaking!
So you're right. Let's update the streaks.
Let's
Gotta
bring that
update
back
the
up.
streaks.
Let's go.
Here we go. I love that I have so many things to update here.
I love it.
The Sockers are 10-0 in 2022-23. And their current all-competition win streak is 14, meaning 10 in a row this year, plus 4 wins at the end of last year's playoffs. The team's home winning streak is 16. The team's road winning streak is 17. The team's regular season winning streak is an MASL record 30. 30. A lovely round number. And the points streak is just getting out of hand. It's up to Trevor Hoffman now, 51. 51 straight games that the Sockers have at least taken to overtime, with a 47-0-4 record over those last 51 games. Now, I'm going to say all of those, and I'm also going to say the thing that I wrote into the preview today. All those streaks are true. The last team that ended any of these streaks, other than all competitions, the last team that ended every single one of these streaks was the now named Empire Strikers. They were the last team to beat the Sockers in regulation. They were the last team to beat the Sockers on the road. They were the last team to beat the Sockers at home. And they are the next team up, having won 9 of their last 11 matches. Now, the Sockers play the Furry Strikers more than any other franchise. So, of course, they have more opportunities to win a game against San Diego than anyone else does. Nonetheless, put it all aside. Time to focus on the future, just like this Sockers team does, just like the players and coaches do. It's Empire next. And every one of these clubs now, Jerry, is looking for a season-defining victory. Every one of these teams facing the Sockers now knows if we can just win this game, it's going to be the game the whole league talks about for weeks. Oh, you beat the Sockers. Maybe now you're better than the Sockers. Maybe now everyone is looking for a chink in the Sockers' armor. Everyone's looking for a sign of vulnerability that this team is going to have the chance to wobble between here and the Ron Newman Cup playoffs. And so I look at these 6 matches as being the 6 toughest matches of the year. I mean, maybe throw Dallas out, maybe the 5 toughest matches of the year. Yeah. And this one starting it off. Empire wants to set a tone. Empire wants to say, we are an ascendant club. We haven't just been beating up on lesser teams and then we're going to see Big Brother and get our hair ruffled again. They want to make a statement. So I know, talking to some players at training yesterday morning, that's where the focus is. The focus is simply on, this is a team. We know they have the talent. We have to go up there. We know we can do our thing. We're confident at Toyota Arena. We got to go do our thing.
Yeah. They just have to continue doing what they know they need to do and what they've been doing. And listen, we've talked about this a few times as well. I think everybody knows the Sockers are not they're not undefeatable. Is that even a word? You know what I mean. They can be defeated. And that is when if and when the Sockers are not 100%. So far, have they been 100% every single time? No, but they've been able to pull it out. And I think that with us facing now up against a team that is much better than the last time that we faced them, by the way, the Strikers are looking much, much better. They've made some changes, made some moves. I mean, it's a possibility that this could potentially be a trap, right? And I feel like from this point on, for the next 6 away games, I'm going to be pressing this button every single time. But look, it is what it is, and we just want to make sure that we're realistic too. But yeah, when we talk about numbers, I mean, those are stats. That's all facts, and the Sockers have to just keep their heads on and continue doing what they know how to do. And when we talk to Charlie, he says the same. And every single player that we talk to says exactly the same thing. And that is that they just concentrate on the next game. They handle business there and then move on to the next one. They don't worry about what's coming up. They don't worry about Tacoma, this weekend. They worry about the Empire Strikers. I almost said the F word. The Empire Strikers tomorrow. And that's what they worry about.
I still refer to anything that happened before this summer as Ontario Fury.
Sure. Yeah.
You don't retrospectively say that Andre Dawson played for the Washington Nationals because the Expos moved, No,
yeah, it's gonna take a little while for us to get it 100%. I mean, they're still working on it too. They still. I know. Shout out to our good friends over at Empire Strikers broadcast team, Philly, Panda, and the Doctor. They're still working on that stuff too. I'm so excited, by the way, to head up tomorrow to Toyota Arena and see them and see the team. It's gonna be an exciting time, and every time that I've been there, Craig, just throwing out some more facts, the Sockers have never lost.
Got some wood right over here.
Me too.
Just knocked it. That's outstanding.
Yep.
Yeah, and, Slizzer in the chat mentioning about Empire, because Empire did get crushed to end their road trip 11-3. But they started it with a 7-6 shootout win against Monterey. Mm-hmm. And that was a game we had written down for a loss, and Empire got 2 points out of that match. So they only got 2 out of 6 points on the Mexico trip, but they got 2 points, and that's 2 more than every other team has gotten on the Mexico trip so far this year. Every other team that went to Mexico went 0 for 6 on points. So, good game. It was the second game of the trip. They definitely were missing a couple of players. Mm-hmm. Empire, not the absolute key players, but they were missing a couple of players for that match, and they will have those guys back almost undoubtedly on Wednesday. The biggest difference in Chihuahua was that Chris Toth didn't play. I mean, Chris Toth has been right in the middle of the Empire surge and now leads the league in saves. And by the way, I saw what Two Balls and a Mic said there. Stay tuned, Two Balls and a Mic, for MASL News. We are going to talk a lot more about the coaching carousel south of the borders. So a lot of spicy stuff still to come. But we are at the bottom of the hour. It's time to welcome on our special guest. Juan Carlos Charlie Gonzalez is the pride of Lancaster. He still coaches up in the West Covina area, and on Tuesday evenings, Charlie is always busy coaching. He's always out on the fields until like 7, 8 o'clock at night. So we've been asking him outside of the offseason to come on the show, and he's always been like, oh, I'd love to, but I just can't. So Jerry and I yesterday got together with Charlie to put this interview together to present to you on the show. Now, I didn't have to tell you that it was recorded because Jerry and I were very, very fastidious to make sure that everything looked exactly the same today and yesterday. Exactly 100% precisely the same. So, it could be like a little fun Where's Waldo thing for you to see if you can spot any differences at all. But let's
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
In Highlight Magazine, can you find the 4 things different between these two pictures? So let's welcome in via the joy of digital iCloud. We used to say by the joy of videotape. There's no tape involved, but the joy of a streaming iCloud cached file. The great Charlie Gonzalez here on Soccer's Overtime. All right, as promised, here he is, our star midfielder, Juan Carlos Charlie Gonzalez, joining us, making a repeat appearance here on Soccer's Overtime. Charlie, Craig, and Jerry here with you, your old pals. Thanks so much for being with us and with all of our Soccers fans here live tonight.
Thank you guys for having me again.
Absolutely.
How you
Let's
guys doing?
start things off real simple. 10-0. Not bad. Good start to the season. What are your thoughts on how things have transpired so far?
Well, it's great, obviously having that streak. We played pretty tough teams. It's good to have that streak going. But the team doesn't really think about that. And we're just here to win games. So it's a good start, and just hoping for the best for these next 12 games coming up.
One of the things that we always are talking about is just how strong the West is. I think the league just in general has gotten better and better, and they've had to adjust to the Soccers, obviously, just destroying everybody. But one of the biggest things for us, looking back at the last couple of games, we knew those were going to be tough games, right? And taking on Savage and your fantastic performance there, and then Mesquite, definitely would call those two statement wins. How do you kind of feel about those now, looking back at those games against two very tough opponents?
Yeah, Chihuahua, and Mesquite, they're great teams, tough teams to play. They're physical, and they have great players that when they're on the ball, they can do damage. But yeah, I think what we focus on is playing our game. We don't really look at the stats. Every game is a tough game. And we know coming in, like, everyone wants to beat us. But the game plan is just sticking to our game plan and not allowing us to play, another team's game. We stick to our game plan, and I think that's what's been really helping us, these last 10 games.
Charlie, you said it, and I think it's so true. When it comes to this team, you guys play your game. You play your style, and that style is a style of unselfishness. This last game saw 7 goals scored, 7 different players scoring goals. And the nature of that is that you're not going to have one guy that's going to jump out and dominate the league standings or lead the league in goals. For yourself, maybe early on in the flow, the ball wasn't quite coming to you the same way. Now it's been 6 goals in the last 3 games. And do you feel it is almost just like that the wave has just kind of come your way the last couple of matches?
Yeah, I think so. And it's always gonna happen. It happens to a lot of players where maybe you start off slow and then you slowly pick up mid-season towards the end of the season. Some players start off really strong in the beginning. It kind of takes time for them to take it back in motion. But yeah, I feel like as knowing myself, I feel like every season it's the same way. Or like towards mid-season, towards the end of the season, that's where I really pick up. So I think that's the same thing that happened last season. So hopefully it keeps going.
I went back and looked at some of the stats, and there's definitely a chemistry between Charlie Gonzalez and Craig Childs. If you look at the numbers, it's a really good connection, and we've also are seeing a developing chemistry between yourself and Brandon Escoto, Churras. Kind of wondering if you could walk us through that and how that's been and building up that chemistry with somebody like Churras.
Yeah, especially with like Craig, he's a goal scorer. It doesn't matter how you play him the ball. Like, this guy can shoot from anywhere and he can score. So it's just finding him, playing him where he likes the ball to get played. It just makes it much easier for him, for myself. Just knowing where he's on the field. And with Churras, this guy, like, you never know what he's gonna do with the ball. Obviously we both play in the midfield, and it's easy to connect with him because you play him, even if you play him a bad pass, like, he'll find a way to get to it and protect the ball, and he looks to dribble and he looks to score. But not only can he score, but he can also set you up to score yourself. And it's just that chemistry. That I've played with Churras in the off season. We play a lot of tournaments, and so I've been playing with him before I joined San Diego. So there's been a chemistry from before.
And I was thinking when we talk about chemistry, Charlie, the goal for 2-1 against Mesquite. I said right on the broadcast, if we're going to do MASL goals of the week, this goal needs to be one of the goals of the week. And no, it wasn't a 30-yard screamer, from outside rising above the keeper. It was three players connecting on 4 one-touch passes to lead to a goal with Serta, to Christian, to yourself. And you were in a shooting and scoring position, but you saw Serta making the run. The pass was there. The chance for the back post feed was there. And he ran over and kind of lifted you up and celebrated you at the end of that goal. Is that the kind of goal that you kind of almost need to have been playing with these guys and to have that team cohesion in order to score?
Yeah, I believe so. And, like just knowing who's on the field when you're on the field at the same time, just knowing that, you have Gutierrez and you have Serta who, both are fast, you have speed on the field. That means like, yeah, you got to start running because either you stay or you got to keep up with them. So especially that goal, I believe it was Serta who won the ball in the midfield and he played Gutierrez just made that sprint to the corner, turn it into a 3v2 and just having Serta coming back post. Um, it's that type of goal that you need at this moment of the season, because there's not always going to be those easy goals. Like I said, every game is a tough game, and you have to find a way to, you know, connect with those players. Because Seb as a defender, Christian's a forward, and then you have a midfielder. All connecting for that same goal, and it's just those type of goals that you need to get you going, even in the game, especially in the game, but during the season as well.
Yeah, one of the things I love with this team is going back, seeing kind of where we were and how we get better as the season goes on. The last couple of seasons has been no difference with, you guys being able to see where our weaknesses are and then just by the end of the season fixing them up, And we were seeing that kind of in the beginning of this season with the power play. And I'm kind of wondering what you see has turned around for us within the power play.
Yeah, usually last season, I was running the power play in the midfield, and it wasn't. I don't feel it was as strong as it was last season. But we're only a couple games in this season. And I switched with Charles, so now Charles is running it, and I feel like it's been working. We've got a couple goals since he's there, and the good thing about that is that everyone in the back, me, myself, Charles, and Leo, we can all rotate in the back. It's not like we're staying in that same position, and I feel like having that has made it much easier, these last couple games to score on those power plays.
Charlie, when I first saw you playing, you were a young buck with the Ontario Fury. You grew up on that club. You wind up leaving that club as its all-time goals and points leader. Now it's your second season here in San Diego. You're a coach. You've got a lot of young kids that look up to you and that have learned so much from you. And I just wonder what that transition has been for you to go from being someone who's young and hungry and aggressive, and scrapping for your name, for your reputation, to now being a champion, a veteran, somebody who's not necessarily lost that hunger, lost that desire, but you've found that level of success. What's that transition been like for you as a man, as a player?
Oh, it's been great. It's just love for the game. Like I remember when I first started in my first year, it was like paying attention to every little detail, watching games, like anything I could do to learn the game because it's way different than obviously playing outdoor. But growing up, like I said before, I grew up playing small-sided street soccer indoor, so it made it easier for myself. But now that I'm coaching, um, I love just when you explain things to these kids, it's like their eyes just light up, and especially when they come see me play, it's like the best feeling. Just knowing that like I'm helping them grow into not only a better player on the field but off the field as well because I see that a lot here in with soccer is that a lot of the guys, yeah, they're great players on the field, but even better people off the field, and that's what I love about coaching. Just showing um, these kids that it's not only what they do on the field, you know, that counts. It's also what they do off the field. And I have my academy, and the big thing for me is always leading them to the right direction, and letting them know like, hey, obviously they're in school. You first got to focus in school, um, and then you worry about soccer. Then you come to practice, and then you have fun, and then you listen. So, and just being a champion. I mean, it was my seventh season, and it took me 7 years to finally, you know, win the championship. So it's a great feeling. It's a great transition going from a player to a player coach. Um, it's not easy, but I'm still learning, and it's just been great. It's been great.
Yeah, man. One of the things I always tell people, I'm just so happy Charlie is on our team. And but you do have a pretty storied background with obviously with Ontario with Fury, now the Empire Strikers, and here we go again, right? We faced them. What, this is going to be now the third time,
Third time.
third time, and then we still got to see them another 3 times, so 6 times total this season. Um,
Mhm.
we're heading to the Empire, man, this Wednesday, and it's just going to be another showdown, right? And the Strikers are looking pretty good. Have they, in your opinion, have they improved? What have you seen so far from them this season?
Yeah, I think they improved since they started this season. They've been improving. They were on a win streak. I feel like they added a couple players that have been a big part of why they've been winning, and a couple rotations. Forwards to defense, defense to forward. I think they're finally finding like how they should be playing, and where each player should be playing, and it's going to be a tough game. I feel like every time we play them, it's always a battle, it's always a tough game, it's always physical. But yeah, we're going to face them on Wednesday, so it'll be a good game.
And really, when I'm looking at the numbers and looking at what's gone right as they've won 7 of their last 8, you got to look at the defense. I mean, they had a 3-match stretch where they allowed only 6 goals. Chris is up there leading the league in saves, and I kind of feel like the club committed to him in the back, and ever since they've done that, it's coincided with this team's surge.
Yeah, and obviously playing with Chris when I was back in Ontario, he has a lot of leadership when he's on the field, and I feel like that's a really big part of why they only allowed 6 goals in those games. Um, and they're a team that works hard. They have a lot of speed in the back. They have big players in the back, and I feel like I said, they're finally gelling together. And yeah, I mean, it's been working for them, and I feel like it's gonna be the same thing coming into their home, and obviously it's not gonna be an easy game.
Yeah, we have obviously a long stretch of away games. It's not going to be easy for the Sockers, starting with this game against the Strikers up there in Ontario. And then before we come back and we have a chance to do this podcast one more time, we're also going to be facing off on Saturday against the Tacoma Stars. Can you kind of tell us about that? And do you think the Stars have a chance against us? I mean, what do you see so far?
I'm just the type of player, that, like I said, I feel we don't go into a game thinking like, oh, it's gonna be an easy game, because the stats, they're just numbers. Maybe they have a bad game, and then like they play us, they have their best game. You never know what can happen. I don't like to think, they do or they don't have a chance against us. Personally, I like just to focus on our team and coming in and being mentally ready, physically ready, especially for that game. They have a lot of speed on that team, so it's going to be a lot of running to expect. So, you know, but yeah, I don't really like to think about those things. Um, I just go out there and play.
Charlie, that's the attitude of this club, man.
It's fair.
That's the attitude of this club is what streak, what this, what placement, what standings, just go play the match, take care of business, get the 3 points, come home happy, and we appreciate that. We're going to let you go, but we only have one more question for you, and it's going to come from a guest questioner. I've got a surprise guest questioner, Jerry, and that's Darth Maul.
Oh my god!
What did you think? What did you think of the Star Wars kids, Charlie? Whose was better, your R2D2 or me?
I like that jersey, but I gotta say the R2D2.
Oh, okay.
I just think it looked great as like the whole team when we came together. Like the jersey looked nice, you know. But I gotta give it to you. That jersey looks nice. It looks intimidating.
You know what I
I
really
just
liked
wanted to
about
pull
him?
off that trick. I was like trying to figure out, can I get the eyes right? You know, I just wanted to pull that trick off. Charlie, thank you so much, man. We appreciate your time. All of us Sockers fans love having you on the show. Best of luck. We'll see you tomorrow night out in Ontario. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you guys for having me. Have a good night.
You're the worst.
The best? You misspelled the best.
I mean, you're the
You
best.
misspelled the best.
You're the best.
Man, you actually did wear the same hat and the same hoodie.
Yeah, I planned it out. I haven't changed since. No, I'm just kidding. I've changed. I just threw it on.
Changed, haven't showered. I mean, you went to the dentist, so I assume you brushed your teeth.
No, I changed. It's just a different shirt underneath. I just threw the hoodie on and the hat. You changed.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Thank you, Charlie Gonzalez. Hope you all enjoyed the interview. Thank you, Darth Maul, for the late appearance.
Great question by him.
Darth Mauling the competition once again. Did everyone like all the puns that we weaved into the into the broadcast on Friday? I thought the Book of Boba Fett was a real winner.
Yeah, you had so many. I think Book of Boba Fett was my favorite for sure. There were some good ones in there.
X-Win formation. I like that. Every time Xavier comes in, we're in X-Win formation. Oh, I'm silly. I'm a big silly. There it is, Charlie Gonzalez. Yeah, me too, Joe Hutt. Glad to get 21 on the show. I mean, you know, he's thoughtful. He is a great guy. You know, he's so considerate. And it's just, you know, it's not that he's shy or doesn't want to be on the show. It's just a matter of timing and coaching. So glad we were able to make that happen for all of our viewers and listeners here tonight. Okay, let's switch up to MASL news now, because this is the segment I think everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah.
This is the segment everyone's been waiting for. Should we start with Mexico coaches or Harrisburg-Florida? What do you think?
Let's go with Harrisburg.
Okay. The worst kept secret in the league finally came to be on Saturday, as an hour before the Harrisburg-Baltimore match at the Baby Arena, CQ Arena. They announced, hey, trade Harrisburg and Florida. And Florida gets Rafael Araujo, who has 3 goals this year and 6 points. And Harrisburg gets Zach Reggett and Taylor Bond. Not exactly an even trade.
No.
Not exactly an even trade.
Not quite the trade you would think about when it comes to a player like Zach Reggett, and then throw in there Taylor Bond as well. I mean, yeah, it was, you know, like you said, worst kept secret. I think there was something going on already brewing well before then we got to see it, because I think they had to, because Reggett was about to play in this game. So, you know, they had to say something. So, yeah, it came out at such a weird time, and everybody's like, oh, okay, there it is. I don't think there was any surprise about it for those that are, you know, keeping up with news. And when they were put on the unavailable list for the game before that, we knew there was something amiss. And sure enough, I mean, just really, really interesting to see that move. Florida, you know, making some changes there. Definitely interested, Craig, to hear your thoughts on that. And what is Florida exactly doing right now? Is it a sporting thing? I don't think that's what it is. Is it a cultural thing? I feel like that's a little bit more realistic. I would kind of, you know, try to wrap my hand around this in so many different ways. There's so many reasons why it doesn't make sense. So I'm trying to find like how it makes sense, you know?
And me too. And I think a lot of people around the league. And if you're not like directly inside the Florida program, if you're not in their locker room, if you're not at their training, then you don't know what's going on. I've reached out to a couple of the players involved in this deal and haven't heard back from them, and they have no reason to respond to me. And probably Taylor Bond blocked all of our numbers once he left San Diego, you know, and like, I get it. We gave him his ring. He was not happy when he got his finalist medal last year and threw it into the stands. And Zach Reggett wasn't happy either. But to say that both of those players were unhappy as Florida Tropics seems to be extremely clear. They had just re-signed Zach Reggett. You know, they had signed Taylor Bond the year before to a 3-year contract. And to trade these two players for a player who just you know, replacement level? Maybe Araujo is way better than that and just needs to be in the right system in order to flourish. I'm not in any way trying to diminish him. Statistically, it's clearly a player dump-off, not a soccer trade.
Yeah.
And, you know, to see this happen, it's kind of depressing for both teams. Now, you look at it from the Tropics standpoint. This Florida Tropics team has taken an extremely Brazilian slant. You now look at this roster and you see Carvalho, Pereiras, Dantas, Araujo, Diegues, Freitas, Monteleras, Oliveira, Alves, Alencar. It's a long list. You know, it's a long list. It's an almost entirely Brazilian team now. Was there a cultural break in the Tropics locker room? Was there a situation, which I have seen on other teams, where it becomes a clique and it becomes a situation where personalities start to clash? What I do know is that Clay Roberts, who controls that team's roster, personnel, and is their head coach, he made his decision. And his decision was to go away from his number one forward and from a guy in Bond who I think we know very well, right? Can be erratic, can definitely contribute a lot of penalties to your team, but contributes toughness, contributes bite, you know, has some surprising skill, has some speed, a ton of physicality. And you know, Florida kind of struggled a little bit in beating Dallas on the road. Harrisburg got Reggett and Bond in the lineup and immediately gave up 21 goals and got straight up plastered in 2 games at Baltimore. Not competitive, not close, nothing. And the second part of the story here for Harrisburg, Florida, is what happened after the trade was made. Because this trade was made 3 weeks ago. This trade was made a couple of of weekends of MASL play ago. And my understanding is that Reggett and Bond refused to report to Harrisburg, ran it as high up the MASL flagpole as they could, and were told, you play for Harrisburg or you don't play, you don't play, you don't get paid. And Jerry, you sent it to me, I believe on Sunday, Zach Reggett in his Instagram story, posting a picture of himself in the Harrisburg uniform with that old 90s rock anthem, you know, cut my life into pieces, this is my last resort. Suffocating, no breathing. You know, and it's like, okay, I think I get why you picked this song, and it's not because it's your favorite one to rock out to before a game.
Yeah, he's clearly not happy. So, you know, it's only going to be, I would say it's only a matter of time before there's some more changes that are going to happen there. If he's not, it seems so unfair in a lot of ways, and it's just weird. I mean, we'll see if it works out for Florida, right? I think it's going to take some time for that for us to see if there is anything that comes from it. but a player that has really done so much for Florida, like Zach Reggett has done, I think it's just really it's a big bummer to see that, because he's clearly not happy with what happened. And I guess it's going to be a while before we see if it was worth it for them. And yeah, like you said, they made their decision. We go from there. We'll see what happens. There's going to be some interesting things. Hey, MASL is there's never a dull moment in this league, and this just adds to it. But one thing I wanted to touch on really quick, if we could, Craig, because I got a question actually earlier today from Kelsey, who's here in the chat, and KC also made some moves. They wavered 4 of their players. When it comes to, as far as I know, right, the transfer window doesn't end until March, like 19th or something like that. So what's the reasoning behind trade waivers when there is still time to actually deal players and try to find them a home rather than just putting them straight on trade waivers? That was a really interesting thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, on the transaction wire right now, Jerry, I'm looking at it right now on the MASL page. The only thing they have listed for comments is signing Jacob Jones. So if they've done something else beyond that, it hasn't at least made it into a league official transaction situation. Mm-hmm. I think all of these teams in the East are scrambling to figure themselves out. Florida got that win to get to 7-6, and I'm counting the overtime losses with the regular losses. Okay, Kansas City is, I believe, 5-8 or 6-8 on the season. 6-8 on the season. These are the second and third place teams in the East right now. You've got 8-3, 7-6, 6-8. As your top 3 teams, followed by 6-7, 4-8, 4-8, 3-10. It's a buzzard of a conference. And having said that, one of those teams is going to make the Ron Newman Cup final. So for Florida, if Clay Roberts felt like this team was going in the wrong direction, which it clearly was, and this was the decision he made to try and either heal the clubhouse or take it in a particular direction. Well, Florida's got 11 games left to get it together. And if they get it together, absolutely, they can go back to the Ron Newman Cup finals. Because really, who's the powerhouse in the East that's going to stand in their way? Milwaukee is having a good season. I don't think they've done anything yet this year that would make you say definitively, yeah, this is a team that you really have to look out for. This is the reason they're a championship contender is because they're in the East. Kind of plain and simple. If this was a full league table like we campaigned for here on Soccer's Overtime, if this was a full league table, Milwaukee would still get a chance at that second seed for winning the conference, but there's just really no comparison. So. Yeah, very interesting. I'm glad I'm not hosting Tropical Time. Yeah, Tropics Applebee Time, because it would be rough. It'd be rough dancing around this stuff. But out here in happy San Diego, we look at it and we go, wow, what the heck's going on in Florida? And for Harrisburg, kind of feel for Pat Healy. Hey, we just traded for one of the best forwards in the East. Our team is going to give up 7 or 8 goals, is going to lose by 7 or 8 goals a game now. Because when you put players on the floor who don't care and who don't want to be there, that's what you get.
Yeah.
You get blowout, ugly, disaffected soccer. And Harrisburg, who I thought was coming together, are falling apart now. Tropics Thunder podcast. I like that, Slizzer.
Hey.
But definitely presented by Applebee's. Definitely.
So we talked about Florida. What the heck is happening in Mexico, sir? I mean, this is the complete opposite of okay, these are 2 teams that were very, very strong. One more than the other, obviously, and everybody keeps talking about how Jaime Borrego leaving Chihuahua is not going to make a big difference, which that makes sense. But there's some stuff in there too that that I didn't know about. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So first, last week, the Savage announced that their El Profesor, Luis Jaime Borrego, was leaving the team for personal reasons to return to his home of Hermosillo in Sonora. He has been working out of state, right? Lives in Sonora, has been coaching in Chihuahua, and that was the statement of the club. And they said that Everardo Sanchez, who has been underneath LJB at Chihuahua, was being elevated to, technical director, to head coach. And you said, okay, Luis Jaime Borrego, time away, something happened, family, work, you don't know. Okay, let's see how it affects Chihuahua. Then, last week, Monterrey lost at home in a shootout to Strikers, 7-6, traveled to Tacoma and lost to Tacoma, 6-4. And the next day, it was announced that Mariano Bolela, indoor legend and Monterrey Flash head coach, had been relieved of his duties, and that Armando Terran would take over as their technical director for Monterrey. Now, Luis Jaime Borrego, prior to COVID, was the head coach of Monterrey Flash. And Luis Jaime Borrego is very close with the owner of Monterrey Flash. I've seen them travel together. I saw them together, different countries. These guys are close. So you take 2, you add 2, you get to 4. And the rumors I've been hearing is that you will see Luis Jaime Borrego introduced as Monterrey's head coach soon. Maybe very soon. There was some discussion that he could be on the bench tonight in Chihuahua against Monterrey. Now, that match has just started, so I don't think that's the case, because I did just go look before Charlie's interview ended. I went and checked the Monterrey Twitter feed to see if they had said, like, hey, welcome back, El Profesor, and they hadn't. So maybe it's not tonight. Maybe it's soon. Maybe it's not till next season. But Luis Jaime Borrego will be back as Monterrey Flash's head coach. You heard it here first on Soccer's Overtime.
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Hey, a couple of things that were not on your list, but I would love to highlight really quick. Congratulations to the January Players of the Month. We have Frank Taillou and Boris Pardo setting it up for tomorrow's game. It's going to be really interesting. But congratulations to our great goalkeeper, Mr. Boris Pardo. Really excited for him and for that. And then also, one thing we didn't really talk about, former Panamanian national team captain Roman Torres signs with the Sidekicks. That's really interesting. And we will see, the Panamanian duo over there. I know that, for lack of better terminology, they pretty much already threw in the towel for this season, but are looking forward to the next season. And I think, Roman Torres is a very interesting prospect that, I love the way that he played when he was with the Sounders, and I think that he's a great, a great player, and it will be very interesting to see what happens with Sidekicks going into next season. But just a couple of things that I wanted to bring up before we move on from MASL news too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Panamanian duo, are you counting Blas Perez in that?
Yeah.
Is he going to play again?
Yeah, he was scouting. He went to go get Roman.
He was scouting. That's right. He was scouting.
Yeah.
He played one game, and he's like, you know what? You know what I need to do? I need to scout.
Hey, you know what? Listen, they didn't need him. All right? They were fine just by themselves. by themselves. No, but he said Roman Torres in the video that introduced him. He says, "I can't wait to go to Dallas and catch up with my friend Blas Perez." Mentioned him. So.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Blas said, "What? Not if I see you first."
Exactly.
I'll be out of there in a hot hurry. Points lost standings. Do we have the updated points lost standings?
Maybe. Yes, I do.
Amazing. We do this for you every week on Soccer's Overtime. We're the only place, the exclusive home for the points lost standings in the West and the East. The only way you can truly tell who's what in each conference. And right now, San Diego still maintaining that 5-point lead, both in points gained and in points lost, over Chihuahua. In terms of points lost, there's Mesquite. They have 24 points, but they've lost 12 total points on the year. Tacoma is fourth in the points lost standings. They have only lost 15 points. They've picked up half of their available points, 15 out of 30. Monterrey in fifth in points lost standings at minus 16. And really, the points lost standings are designed to explain Empire's position, because Empire is currently second in the points gained standings and sixth in points lost standings. So Empire, 15 games to get to 26 points. The Sockers have 29 points in 10 games played. So after tomorrow, Empire only has 24 more potential points that they could get over the course of the remainder of the season, whereas for the Sockers, it's 39 more points that they have a crack at this year. That's why for Empire, these games the last 2 weeks have been so incredibly important. You know, getting those 2 points out of Monterrey, that was gigantic. Otherwise, they'd be at minus 21 already this year. And at some point, when you lose enough points, you don't have enough points to gain to get to where you want to get. So right now, today, looking at this, I would still say that the season is lining up for San Diego Chihuahua 1-2, and for Mesquite, Monterrey, Tacoma, and Empire to fight for those last 3 spots. And Tacoma's not out of it, and Empire's not a lock. And neither is Monterrey, for that matter. I think Mesquite is pretty much a lock. I think Mesquite is going to make the playoffs. But the standings and how those settle, and importantly, who gets that 3rd spot and avoids the play-in round, all of that is very much up for grabs. Just kind of point being that Empire still has a ton of work cut out for them, and they're running out of games. In the Eastern Conference, it's just crazy to see how the 3rd place team has more dropped points than the 6th place team in the West. It's ugly. It's wide open. And if Harrisburg hadn't cashed in the towel, I'd say that they were just as much in it as any of these teams. Any of those teams can make the playoffs, even St. Louis. But just some real mediocre soccer being played in the East right now.
Yeah, it's just, do you look at these numbers and it continues to tell the story that we've been telling all season so far, Craig, is the West is still the best. And it's going to be really interesting to see, how that turns out in the Eastern Conference. Because like you said, they all kind of still have that opportunity. But, I mean, right now Milwaukee's looking really good. Milwaukee's looking really good so far. So we'll see what happens there. Florida, interesting to see them only with 16 points lost. Feels like it was more than that to me. But, hey, here it is. You see it here and only here. This is how we can tell the best way to tell where we are actually standing at this particular time. So, nice.
With that, let's transition and wrap up the show with some Sockers news. We don't have a ton because the team's on the road and will be on the road for a month. But I want to start by saying thanks to everybody, again, who came out to Star Wars Night, and thanks to everyone who purchased jerseys at the merchandise stand. Now, these jerseys are available online. So for everybody who's watching that's an out-of-towner that was asking us, how can I get a Darth Maul kit? How can I get an R2-D2 kit? All you have to do is go to sdsoccers.com/shop, click on the shop link. If you go to sdsoccers.com direct, and easy beasy, Ezra Burdett has already posted those jerseys for sale. So good stuff. The Soccers Star Wars Night kits available for sale online and will be there until we sell out, which we will, but we have a decent amount. I think we sold half our inventory for the most part on Friday night. So that means we do have a goodly amount left to sell, and we're going to sell them all. So jump on in there. If you're an out-of-towner, if you're from Milwaukee, if you're from Texas, if you're from Utica, and you want to get these sick kits that we've been modeling for you here on the show, sdsoccers.com/shop.
Yeah, do it. Get on it right now. Don't miss out. Here's another opportunity for you to get a super neat jersey, and do it now. Go.
Marlisha has an interesting question in the chat. She notes that MASL's Twitch game recording links are starting to expire, that they only stay up for, I guess, a couple of months.
Oh.
And so in the next day or two, the Soccers games against Empire will disappear. And asks, do you know if the MASL has full game footage saved and if they will be uploading to YouTube as the Twitch access deletes? Marlisha, that's a great question. The answer I can give you definitively is that the league does have full game footage saved. Every team has to upload every game broadcast to a box account for the MASL when it's done. So those do exist. Those files exist. As to whether they're going to populate the matches over to MASL TV on YouTube, I hope so. We've talked about this before. I think we railed about it a little bit at the end of last year when Twitch came around, because even then it was hard to find the game archives, which Twitch changed after the first couple of weeks of being on this platform. But I do not like seeing games go away. One of the things I love is that ability to know that you can go back and see a Soccers match from 2018, a Soccers match from 2016 on YouTube, or 1983, or 1992. These old game broadcasts are there. These archives really are, to me, the library of indoor soccer. And, we don't want any book burning from Twitch, to extend the metaphor.
Yep.
So I hope MASL, somebody from the league I'm sure is watching or listening to the show. Let's make sure that we do that. And as these games transition off, they transition on to another archival platform where they can stay forever. Very good stuff. S. Barber asks, do you know if the new arena will also be called Ron Newman Field? Our field will be Ron Newman Field. Yes. We can pick up Ron Newman Field and we can place it at Front Wave Arena.
I hope we're getting a new field.
You want a different color field?
Yeah, we should do like a bright yellow, bright gold.
Yeah, maybe not yellow.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm obviously
the ball's
just
yellow?
kidding. Yeah, no, we don't want to do that. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Kidding. What if we had a blue ball? Oh, wait, that's a different show. Watch party Saturday.
Oh my god! I hope no one from the league is watching this.
Watch party Saturday. Dana on Mission Bay. Can't wait. We're going to be right back in that same Pacific room that we were in for our last watch party. So come on in. So if you get to the main entrance, you turn to the right. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can drive. You don't even have to pull into the Dana itself and go through the gate, the parking gate.
No,
you
make
could turn
immediate
on
right.
that little access road. Yeah, you could
Immediate
turn on
right.
that little access road, drive down that access road to the point where you see the entrance to the Dana, park there, and walk right in. And literally, our room is there. It's right there. It's like a 25-step walk if you do it that way. So come on out. We will be open by 6:30. By 6:30, that's when the bar and grill will be open at the Dana. As usual, our soccer staff will bring along some snacks. Some of our great fans brought some snacks last time too, Jerry. I think I ate way too many little like cookies, like homemade cookies. I am just me and cookies, man.
We had a bunch of different hot sauces to try out too. Bunch of salsas. So good. Yeah, come hang out.
That was fun.
I won't be there, Craig, but it'll be a good time for everybody there. Craig will be there.
It's okay. You'll be there tomorrow.
I'll be there tomorrow. Yes.
It's very exciting. You can anchor our social coverage tomorrow. And
you're gonna make me work? Oh man. Okay, fine.
Oh, you thought you were just coming for the Top Golf?
Yeah. I guess not.
Well,
That's fine.
While you're there,
I'll work. It's fine. I'll work.
might as well
okay.
while you're there.
Yeah.
Last thing is a reminder: we both showed him to start the night. Julie V. Bobblehead. I mean, this thing is. He's very handsome.
Yes.
I'm very handsome. Thank you. You knew I was very handsome from the start. Most handsome soccer player of all time.
No, I'm more
Great
handsome. I
definition. The 22 on the back. The VEE. Leg definition. What do you think about the leg muscles? Very strong.
Super strong. There's like, I don't think you can see it, but you'll see him if you get him.
So don't forget, if you're a season ticket member, you've already had the opportunity. You probably signed up at our season ticket member season opening party for the pre-order for these Julie V bobbleheads, and you'll be getting them at cost. If you are not a season ticket member, you have the opportunity to purchase either a $55 Loge ticket or $70 VIP down low ticket, which is basically $15 more than the normal cost, and you get this Julie V bobblehead. I have confirmed, once again, I talked about it on the match broadcast, but Julie V will be there.
Hey.
And he has already agreed that he'll spend at least, whether it's halftime or a half, tabling. So you'd have the opportunity to see Julie, get a picture taken with Julie, get a picture taken with Julie and the bobblehead.
With Julie and
get
Julie.
the bobblehead autographed. You know, you could do it like kind of right down there. You could get the
there's some
bobblehead
space.
autographed. There's a little bit of space for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have yourself a keepsake for life. You know, you have yourself a collector's item. So it's going to be an incredible night, alumni night. We are going to be honoring the 1982-83 championship team. And Jerry, I will announce on Soccer's Overtime that Alan Mayer has agreed to come out to the match.
Let's go.
So we're working on booking his flight and his hotel now. We hope to have that booked by the end of the week. But the 1982-83 MISL MVP, the first ever 30-game winner for an indoor soccer goalkeeper, Alan Mayer, will be back in San Diego for the first time to be honored as a soccer. He had been back as a Kansas City Comet in the past. He had been back as a member of Las Vegas Americans in the past. Now he is back as a soccer to be honored on March 4th, Saturday, March 4th. So
awesome.
Very excited for that announcement. We're going to be getting as many of the 82-83 alums as possible. Alan has started dropping me phone numbers of guys that he thinks might be available to come out. So really, really excited for Alumni Night. Of course, we'll have the halftime alumni game. We'll have $4 Bud Lights that night as well. So it's going to be an absolutely terrific night. And we're going to talk about it for a whole month. We're going to talk about it for an entire month.
We'll remind
we have
you.
We have at least one, if not two, more surprises for this match.
Nice.
Between now and March 4th. Guaranteed one, and I'm pretty sure two. So stay tuned.
Get your tickets if you don't already have them, which, you know, this crowd right now that's here with us live, they all have their tickets already.
They do.
We love you. We love all of you.
And shout out to our guys on Two Balls and a Mic for their 3-year anniversary of their podcast.
Congrats.
And for having Joe Corona on this week's podcast. And he was asked the question by Tony, whether he was going to go full circle, and eventually be a member of the San Diego Sockers. And I believe his answer was nunca sabe.
Yeah,
So
you never know.
you never know.
He didn't
You
say
never
no.
know.
He said
He
you
definitely
never
did not
know.
say no. At which point I said, okay, I've been dreaming for years that Joe Corona will eventually be a Socker. I think when he first signed with the Cholos, I was like, he could be a Socker someday. And, it's just the road continues. The road continues to be walked. The road continues to be paved for Joe Corona to someday be a San Diego Socker. All right. That's going to bring a wrap to this week's show. We put it in just under 90 minutes. I'm very proud of us, Jerry, that we got the job done. But tomorrow, it's the Sockers and the Empire Strikers. And this is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a great one. The action will be at 6 o'clock on MASL Soccer. I know a lot of you great Sockers fans that join us on Sockers Overtime are making the drive up I-15 to Toyota Arena. Our entire Sockers staff will be there. We're making a day of it up in the Inland Empire. And so Jerry and I will have match coverage for you on social media tomorrow. Follow us, of course, at San Diego Sockers across all platforms, including TikTok. Shout out to our man Parker repopulating the TikTok feed. Make sure if you don't to download that TikTok app. Follow us on there for some brand new content. Gabe, thank you, buddy. Gabe's my reminder, by the way, Jerry. I think last week I downloaded the audio of the podcast and I had to adjust the audio. Like, the waveform was a little off.
Yeah.
And I started doing it and then I got distracted. And then like 4 days later, Gabe sent me a message and was like, where's the podcast, dude? He wants it up tomorrow for the drive. So don't worry, Gabe. We're going to make this happen for you.
Nice.
I promise you that. We will make it happen. Thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks to Charlie Gonzalez for taking time out of his schedule to join us as well. Watch party Saturday, match Wednesday. We're back here next Tuesday with another edition of Soccer's Overtime.
It's Valentine's.
Jerry, great stuff,
sure?
my friend.
Yeah, we're
going to be there. We're going to do it.
Okay. You're going to have to talk to my wife, but okay.
We signed a deal. Nitty and I signed a deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You get full
of.
custody on Tuesday nights at 5 o'clock on Twitch.
From 5 to 7. I've got you from 5 to 7. You're hers. Right. The rest of the time, you're mine from 5 to 7.
Oh, gosh. All right.
On Tuesdays. For Jerry, I'm Craig. Thanks to you for joining us. Until we speak next week, enjoy the matches and go Sockers!